Hello and welcome to Paranormal Mysteries on Access Northwest Community Radio here in lovely Liverpool. My guest tonight is an extremely interesting person. He was born in Rhodesia and was in the Rhodesian Army. He's a Kung Fu master and a Guinness Book of Records holder for smashing, I don't even know how many slabs it was, I think 19 or 20, concrete slabs with one hand. Snapping chopsticks on his throat is another one. And he's also an abductee, a healer and a paranormal experiencer. Although it's not paranormal for some of us, it's just normal. It does become our norm. And I first met Frank around 2006 at a conference where MI5 agent Annie Michon was speaking about spies and lies. And I passed him across again until a couple of years ago at the height of the drama of the Larry Warren investigation, when Warren threatened him and his little girl Anger, which was an interesting turn of phrase for a Kung Fu expert and soldier. All that aside, we've become very good friends, and I'd like to get to know him a little better because we do have certain things in common. So, without any more waffle, I'd like to introduce Frank Willis to the show. Hiya, Frank.
Hiya, Sacha.
How you doing, mate?
Just say, in your introduction, you said I were an abductee. I've never claimed it, and it might have happened, I don't know, but I'm not aware of it.
Ah, right. I thought it was because of the stuff that you talk about, the reptilians. Actually assumed that you'd been abducted by them.
No, the only one I saw was the guy shape-shifted in my lounge that night. There was about 12 of us meditating.
Oh.
It was, at that time, it would be about 15 years ago now, but at that time I was told about the reptilians and I was like, okay, I know aliens exist, I know UFOs are real, but like, this is on me. And then when that guy shape-shifted, it blew my mind, because all sorts went through my head. You know, I'm a spiritual healer. And at the time, the meditation group I was training these people to be healers. So I had them in a deep meditation state, and I was just looking around the room to see how they're all doing. And I was looking at their energies, just making sure they're all okay. And this guy looked at me, and I thought, why is he looking at me? And he changed plain as day into a, and I was like, oh wow, man, what am I seeing? You know.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you know, and then I had this overwhelming fear. It was trying to intimidate me, trying to control me, and it was just like, no, this is my house, get out. And you know, the minute my thought went to that of defence, it disappeared, and he changed back. You know, even to this day, I still try to work out exactly what happened, and I have a theory, and you know, I don't know if anybody else would share the theory of that these reptilians do come through in certain people, like in a transfiguration medium.
Well, you saw me give my talk, didn't you, at the Probe conference, where I explained where I'd seen them coming out of Jason Andrews. So they actually travel with people, inside people, to experience what they're experiencing. So these people might not even know that they've got this going on. You know, it's really quite disturbing, and I know it sounds like complete crazy talk, but I have actually seen it with my own eyes, and I've tried to rationalise it in so many different ways, but I can't. And I know what I saw, and I know what I've felt and experienced, and my friend Paula and another woman, Lynn, and obviously Jason, got to know him, and it happened to Paula when we were at Anne's house, Anne Andrews, and one of them just walked through her into the living room, and it's just bizarre. People don't even believe it, but I wonder if that's what the chips are about, if there's some kind of like synchronizing energy fields or something. I don't know, but
I would say research I'm doing, I'm going to talk about it at Probe in March, the different frequencies and how each individual perceives something differently.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, before I go on to that, Sacha, I just want to say that healing session I was doing with them people,
yeah,
at the end of it, one of the women, she says to me, can I have a word with you after? You know, when everybody's gone. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So everybody went. I met her a brew. I said, right, what's the matter like? She said, what's your thoughts on shape-shifting? I just went, well, you know, I've been interested in werewolf and that type of thing, and, you know, stuff Carlos Castaneda wrote about. And she went, oh, right, so you won't laugh at me. I went, what? She says, well, you know me and that guy, I'm not going to name names because it's not fair, but you know me and that guy, we're having an affair. I went, yeah, I figured that out. She said, well, the other night we were making love to me and he started getting really rough and aggressive. And I opened my eyes and she said, I kid you not, Frank, there was a reptilian on top of me and I freaked. So I was just like blown away. It was like confirmation of what I saw.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's weird how they, yeah.
You know, I thought, well, I'm not crazy. You know, something's there. You know, whatever phenomenon you want to call it or whatever, but there is something there, and it's the old adage: there's no smoke without fire.
No. And I think that the people who notice them, you know, I'm not saying that they picked you, I don't know if they did or not, but like I noticed them at that conference, and then I ended up seeing them in the flesh a year later, you know, and I keep thinking that I was all tagged there, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I do believe they target certain people, and you know, the research I've gone into, it's usually people with a rhesus negative bloodline.
Which my mum is, yeah.
Yeah, which most royals are as well. You know,
right. Yeah.
I don't really want to get onto that, but it comes from the saying that blue bloods, and apparently rhesus negative, when it crystallises, it's a blue colour.
All right, I've not heard that. And the reptilian that I saw was actually blue as well.
Yeah. Well, the one I saw was a light green.
Yeah. They're massive, aren't they? And when Paula, when she saw it in Anne's house, she said it looked like greyish plasticine, because they're not furry, are they? They're kind of snake-like skin.
Yeah, scaly.
Mm.
So
it does look shiny.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, as a kid growing up in Rhodesia, we had servants and the house nanny. I used to chase around the house with a chameleon, and I never really knew the meaning of what it was all about. But certainly the Matabele tribe were frightened to death of the chameleon because it represents the Chitauri or reptilian, and it's shape-shifting or changing colour with its environment.
Mm.
And he went to Craig Mutler spoke about it in his interview with David Icke. It just suddenly made sense to me. You know, some of the other stuff that were going on with some of the Africans.
Yeah.
You know, I'm African, but over there, you know, when we were growing up, they were whites, we were called Europeans, and then Asians were Indians, Pakistanis, Chinese, Japanese, and then the blacks were called Africans.
Yeah.
But we were all Rhodesian.
Well, you said something there that actually reminded me think of something that I've not actually thought before, when you said that the colour changed into the environment, so the sort of shape shifting. Well, when I was kind of in this dentist chair with whatever was going on around me, when I thought back to that, all I could see was blue. Everything was just seemed to be blue around me, and I couldn't figure it out. And then one day when I was thinking about it, I remembered seeing this piece of equipment that the blue had kind of covered over. It was almost like the blue cleared a little, and I saw this. I remembered this thing that was plotting a graph, but the thing that I saw was blue, and my mum had a dream that night that that was happening to me when I'd been abducted, and she said that she opened a door to she was in a house, I was on the sofa, and she opened a door and let two people in, two men in, and one had a big like fedora hat. She said his skin was really blue and that wrinkled, it looked knitted. So it's just sort of, I don't know if they use some sort of technique of masking everything with a sheet of blue in your mind, you know, or,
Yeah.
and they've all been blue because that's the colour that they used to. I don't know. This has only just occurred to me, so I don't really know what I'm saying. But I can remember a lot of blue around me, like the walls were blue and everything seemed to be blue. And then my mum saw a blue man and I saw a blue reptilian. It's just interesting, the
Yeah.
colour thing. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like the frequencies we were going to hit on.
Yeah.
It struck me one night. It was 20 years ago. We got something in a pub in Kirkham, and there was a girl there I used to work with, and she was interested in what we were doing. But I picked up a friend of hers what got killed in a motorbike accident. He came off. We don't really know what happened, but he came off his motorbike at the turn off of Blackpool, Freckleton Road junction, and in the middle there's a triangle of vegetation and that, bushes, and his body and bike ended up there, and they didn't find him for 3 days.
Oh no.
So I picked up, and he were giving a message for him, and I described her. And then this other medium I know, she come out with messages for her, but she described him when he was a lot younger. So it was a case of like, are we perceiving differently, or is that spirit portraying himself differently to us both, so that the message could get across to the person we were talking to? But it struck me that it's frequency. It has to be, and quantum physics backs it up that everything is a frequency.
Yeah.
So the reptilians, and certainly the government, know about about frequencies, and they do use them. Certainly Adolf Hitler and Churchill was using frequencies and using psychics, psychic warfare program against each other. We're using ley lines to send that energy to, try and influence each other.
Yeah, I've read a little bit about all the magic and astrology that they used to predict each other's behaviours or whatever they were going to do next.
Yeah. So it kind of goes in with, the martial arts training I've had in Chi, because Chi is a frequency. But you alter that frequency and you can kill with it, or you can heal with it. That's the yin and yang of Chi. So, I'm well aware of the frequencies and people's energy fields and auras, and how they affect each other and how we interact and why we don't like people, why we don't like certain people in our personal space. How we are all aware of it, but we're not. And I'll just say to somebody, if you're sat in a public room like a cafe or a pub or whatever, and you get the feeling somebody's staring at you, and you turn around and they are staring at you, how do you know that?
I know, I've had moments like that,
And, people, I've never really thought of that. Well, psychologists have, they try to explain it, and certainly governments have been well aware of it. you know, it was only last night I was talking with my brother. He's not seen that film, The Men Who Stare at Goats, and I said,
Oh yeah.
said it's based on the truth, but it's all about energies. You know, the opening scene, the guy's trying to run through the brick wall. He's trying to get, he's trying to get in the same frequency as the brick wall. As daft as it sounds, I wouldn't even attempt it myself, like, but you know, that's how the research was going. You know, everybody thought they were crazy, but they came out with some magnificent stuff, which is still not being released to the general public. You know, I've heard just little snippets from people like Colonel Philip Corso. So,
well, what was he saying? Was that the headset and the...
he was more on about the remote viewing.
Oh, right.
Which, you know...
That's interesting, that, yeah. That's interesting, his remote viewing.
Yeah.
Very.
I used to do it with my ex-girlfriend. She's a businesswoman, and, you know, she travels quite a lot to Japan. And
oh, right.
we'd talk to each other on phone or Skype or whatever. She'd just say, all right then, what am I wearing now? And I'd just come out with it and she'd go, oh, you do my head in, you're right every time. I said, yeah, but you can do it. So I encouraged her to do it, and she was doing it. But there was a very good link between me and her.
Yeah.
But, you know, it can be done. It's there within the human potential.
I found it all very interesting. Joe McGonigal, he wrote a book about remote viewing, and somehow thinks that was a part of what was going on, or some sort of experiment that was going on the Bentwaters bases, but I don't know anything about that. But I do know that there's been some amazing experiments and demonstrations that you just can't believe it, that they're drawing. There's a guy called, what's he called, John Oliver, and he's like, he'll be stood there and he'll be talking about a place that he's never been to, and then he takes a deep breath and kind of sticks his chest out and his arms out to his side, and then he's looking down from in the air, and he draws these maps to try and locate, you know, people or whatever.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. He blows my mind. I mean, I was watching lots of his stuff, and I was just watching him thinking, how on earth, you know, how on earth can you actually just take a deep breath and like go up in the air, but you're not actually up in the air, and you're not even like in right now. You've mentally, or in whatever way, energetically gone back in time and observing an event that happened to a person maybe 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just wow, things that some people can do.
Yeah.
He's fascinating.
Just recently I watched it's a TV show. I can't remember the name of it. He's an actor, and he goes looking for things with his two sons, and they went to a remote viewer, and they were trying remote viewing in Las Vegas, and they got it, you know, about 80% right. Blew their own mind.
Wow.
I forget his name.
Yeah, it was
The Summit Files, it's called. It's his surname.
Dead Files.
Yeah.
No, all right, no. I don't know what you mean. I've not heard of that. I'll have to check that out. Whatever it is.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
I think he was one of the Rat Pack, you know, like Kiefer Sutherland and all that lot. He was one of them lot, I think he were. I can't remember.
Right.
No. It'll come to me as we talk. I can't remember. It's quite an interesting show, actually. You know, it's the usual hype of Hollywood and all that, but they're bringing quite a few subjects to the fore, you know, and people are starting to ask questions about it. So it's quite interesting.
I don't think I've seen it. I do like things that are exploring this sort of thing, because the human potential is just unknown, isn't it? And if we've all got these abilities and we can unlock them, I mean, God almighty. Have you ever seen the program The Dead Files with that Amy Allen. It's a woman, she's a psychic. She goes to these places and she can just see everything and anything that's gone on ever in that place, and she gets a sketch artist to draw some of the things that she's seen, and some of the things that she's seen are so horrific, and you would think, oh, what a load of rubbish, you know, but she works with a detective and he goes and does all this kind of historical research, and they come together at the end, and she says what she's seen and he says what he's found out, and she just knows this stuff. I just think, how can anybody live in a world where there's things crawling the walls and you know, people walking around looking like zombies, and it must be very difficult to kind of stay sane with that kind of ability.
Yeah, it's hard. You know, when I was young, I was experiencing things, and I remember from probably about the age of 5 or 6, I was seeing things in the bedroom and stuff, but like my parents, they were Catholics, and they'd go, "Are you imagining it?" and stuff. Some things scared me, some didn't, and it was, in the end, I put it down to everybody was like that. And it went till I was about 16, 17, I started realising that I was different from other people. You know, you know, I still was like 100% skeptic on things, but I realised I was a bit different, and I just put it down to I'm antisocial, end of. You know, in a sense I was, you know, I did become antisocial.
What sort of things were you seeing?
One of the earliest memories was like, my brother, he's a few years younger than me. I remember seeing a little old man, talking to him every night in the bedroom, and he, you know, the little old man would tell me, "Oh, go to sleep, you're alright, you're alright." And he'd be talking for hours with my brother. Now my brother vaguely remembers it, because he was only 2, maybe 3 at the time. Oh. But my father, yeah, he remembers it, and they ended up getting a priest to come and bless the house and do what they do, whatever he was doing. And I don't know. I know he blessed the house. Whether he did anything else, I don't know. But yeah, it made no difference. You know, and the older I've got, I found that out as well. You know, if like a Catholic asks the Catholic priest to do it, it will work. Where, well, most Catholic priests won't do it if you're Catholic, but
yeah,
I've been in an house where the priest was going around blessing the house with a couple of spirits following him. They weren't laughing at him or out, they were more interested in what he was doing, which I found fascinating. And when I had the conversation with the priest about it afterwards, he said, yeah, it sometimes happens that. So he was aware of it, you know. Which, yeah. I was kind of like, yeah.
I bet, yes.
They're more open with you in private. And I found that with me uncle's sister. She was a nun, and I did some healing on her, like about 20 years ago now. She had knees for years, and you know, I made the knees right. So she's saying, oh, it's a good gift from God, and you know, because she's a Catholic nun, and that was her belief, which is fine, yeah. You know. Whatever happened, it worked, and I'm happy for her. You know, I just put it down to love, that's it. Love's a positive thing, and there's not enough of it in the world.
Yeah, that's funny, that's how Swipes deals with things as well. For
yeah.
People listening, that's a mutual friend of ours. Yeah, like when I've been scared a couple of times something's going on, he says, just think happy thoughts, nice thoughts, think of love. He says, he bundled something up and threw it out the car window once. Something went really, really weird in the back of the car. And we've been to see a friend's, and I started to feel really ill in the house, and really bad headache and like pain across my shoulders, and I was struggling, and I was like, oh, I can't stay here. A partner had Lyme, and so I think I was picking up on his discomfort, and then we were in the car and we were chatting away, and then both of us just went quiet at the same time. And I went, can you feel that? And he went, yeah, just carry on driving, don't worry about it, I'll deal with it. So he sorted that out, and I was like, oh my god, it was really weird. It was like I nearly pulled up because it was so overwhelming, the feeling, that I was panicking about how I was driving. It was, I don't know, I just got so like unsure about everything, and it was very, very weird. And then after a minute or so I felt fine again. I thought, well, I was glad I'd not come away from her home on my own, you know, in the car, because I don't know what would have happened then. It was really, really weird. So quite scary. Perhaps wipes is scarier than that, whatever that was.
If you're aware of it, you see it, you feel it. And, you know, unfortunately well, it depends how you look at it. Sometimes I think, yeah, people are fortunate they don't have it. But, you know, most people go through life and they don't want to know. You know, that's what I love about skeptics. Because, you know, like in the past I've had skeptics, they come out with all sorts of stuff to try and, you know, just put you down. And so I start looking at them about 12 inches above their head when I'm talking to them, and they start getting paranoid, and they're like, what are you doing? Are you reading my mind or something? It's like, no, you're a skeptic, aren't you? There's something in the human psyche, and places like Hollywood play on it. You know, they come out with these films and people are scared to bloody death of them.
Yeah, true, yeah.
It's in that psyche of the skeptics as well.
Well, a true skeptic is somebody that believes in whatever but doesn't believe in just anything. I mean, unless you're like a hardened skeptic, or that'd be just a debunker, wouldn't it? I guess.
Yeah. Again, it depends whereabouts in the world you come from. If you're from China, Qi energy is accepted. You know, they've got their life around it. The art of feng shui.
Yeah.
It's all about harnessing Qi. Now, if you mention it in the West, oh, you're a nutter.
It's a very strange creatures over here. It's like we don't believe in anything. It's like we're being like pushed away from believing in anything spiritual, anything, you know, wholesome. So we've been that disconnected from nature that we've forgotten that we are nature.
Yeah,
and that's sad. It's really sad.
I believe, you know, the history of medicine, and this goes back to like Pythagoras and Socrates. They practiced medicine of the mind, body, and the spirit. And you know, it's apparent in the caduceus, the medical profession's symbol. It's the 7 chakras, the yin and yang energy going up the spine around the 7 chakras to the godhead, the wings.
Yeah.
So it's apparent there, and it was around the 15th, 16th century it's separated into the different medicines, you know, medicines of the mind, medicines of the body, and then the Vatican, which was a major player, was like, well, we'll take control of the spirit. And then, of course, King James, he wrote it into the Bible about witchcraft and all that. So that played a major part in the splitting of the mind, body, spirit medicine.
Yeah.
You know, which is a shame. And it still exists today, and it's unfortunate. But, you know, it is changing, where there are doctors and medical profession who are more open-minded, and like, not the GP I've got now, but my old GP, he actually practiced acupuncture as well.
Oh, right, that's interesting.
So, you know, I did work closely with him on some of these patients with healing and stuff, and, you know, there was some amazing results, actually, which he was well interested in. You know, very open-minded, but he cared about his patients, and he was a true believer that the patient knew more about the body than anybody else did, and it was down to them to find the actual problem.
I
I
don't know a doctor like that.
Yeah, he was a brilliant doctor, and you know, we're personal friends as well. I taught him Tai Chi. You know, there are some good ones out there, but they're all constrained by the medical profession, by big pharma. You know,
it's bad.
Yeah, it's like a big mafia cabal.
It is. It's crazy, isn't it? Because, you know, I've been as you know, I've been calling like a couple of years ago. I was on like 18 tablets a day prescribed, and some of them was because of side effects and blah blah blah, and it was just hell. And my blood turned into this toxic soup, and I just got sicker and sicker. And I thought, I can't live like this anymore. So I started researching what plants would have the same effect as the medications that I was taking, and how to heal from this, you know, how to detox all the chemicals and all the like metals and what have you that's in these tablets. And as I've kind of gone on this sort of journey of learning about plants and healing and resins and all that, I realised that we have been absolutely and deliberately cut off from that, and all of that works in synergy with our bodies, and we're discouraged from using plants. And even in some medications, if you read the instructions in them, it'll say do not eat this or that or the other. And when you look at why, it's like, because that does the same thing as the medication.
Yeah.
What? Well, I might as well take that then. I might as well have that combination of things, you know.
I can't get my head around some of these pharmaceuticals they prescribe for people who have suicidal tendencies. Side effect, suicidal.
Suicide.
Just like, what?
One of them was instant death.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, what? I'm not taking that.
Well, look at that. All the big hoo-ha about cannabis. So some pharmaceutical company makes a synthetic cannabis, and it killed 2 people.
I know. Oh my God, imagine.
There's never ever been a death from cannabis in the history of mankind. Yeah.
No.
There you go, there's 2 people who died. Although, I think it might have been George Carlin or one of them comedians, he said, actually there has been one death from cannabis. It was a ton of cannabis fell out of the fucking plane and, like, hit the guy on the head. I think he was taking the mickey out of Bill Clinton and his cocaine dealings in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's another cabal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man, I've absolutely, because when Dave and I moved into this house, and it's got the biggest garden I've had in my life. It's, you know, it's massive. For an inner city, it's massive, and it's all so organic. It's like a fairy pasture. It's mad. I've never, you know, and I've been so enamoured with the garden that I felt really connected back into things, or even connected into things for the first time ever. Because after the UFO stuff in '97, I was literally frightened out of my mind. So I wasn't in my mind, you know. I was a kind of just snapped off from everything instantly because I didn't know what anything was anymore, and I just kind of put a wall around myself between me and life. And as we moved here, and I just got to know, got to know the way that it kind of ebbs and flows throughout the years. Now that I thought, how on earth could I ever think that I wasn't connected to anything? You know, I felt so disconnected that I wasn't even a part of nature. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's deliberate. That's done to us deliberately.
Yeah, I certainly believe that. And reading up on behind the lines of like stuff like Agenda 21, it's plain as day. And you talk to farmers, and they're all heavily subsidised, basically to sit on their arses. You know, this comes from farmers themselves. I know one farmer who's all for Brexit because she says it'll get us all off our arses working again and farming the land and producing rather than relying on subsidies.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have been doing it, and I certainly notice it. We coming from Rhodesia.
Yeah.
I grew up where I went camping in the wild and, you know, in the middle of the bush and stuff, and I know what nature's like. I feel it. I love it. And come to England and, you know, having to live in an inner city and stuff, and it's like, oh my God, it does me head in. I get claustrophobic sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why I go away camping so much. I just need to get out and back in nature.
I understand that now. Although I did like going, you know, away, but just like I say, I built a wall around myself, so I was completely disconnected from everything. But even living in a city, and I think, you know, I wonder now with all these health problems people are having with fibromyalgia and what have you, and I think, is it the stuff that's moving through our bodies, all these radar and Wi-Fi, and, you know, every time, if you live near an airport and you've got overhead traffic, they're using radar for cartography. And so we're exposed to that. We're exposed to that from planes coming into land. All the Wi-Fi routers that we've got, all of the masts with all the stuff on them. There's just all this like electronic smog. It's all of it moves through our bodies, literally through our system. And I just think, is that what's causing it? Is that why people are getting all these pains and weird burning sensations and eating and you know, all that kind of thing? And I read an article that's really, really sad about an 11-year-old girl who took her own life because she was always in pain, and they'd identified that it was Wi-Fi and things like that, those kind of the electronic signals was actually making her body hurt, and she couldn't cope with it anymore, and she was 11. And I thought, I wonder if that's what fibromyalgia is, and all this kind of chronic widespread pain syndrome. And because, like you say, your energy needs to flow through your body in a certain way, and these things, they must disrupt it. Yeah,
definitely. Well, they're not a natural energy, and even the natural energies can hurt you. You know, you're not going to like live in a uranium mine, are you? You know,
yeah.
So there are natural energies what aren't right for you. But interestingly, about 19 years ago, my ex-wife was doing a course on sports therapies and stuff, and there was a day out to Leeds University, so she asked me if I wanted to come too. It was mainly to fill the bus up so that they could go, you know, make it financially viable.
All right.
Anyway, Leeds University, it's a medical university, and they were going into the morgue part where they wanted to look at the muscles on a human body. So we go there, and there must have been about 30, 40 bodies on tables. And the professor came in, he introduced himself, and he said, and when it was questions and answers, I said, is there any specific reason why all these cadavers are here? And he went, yes, I'm researching lung cancer. And I went, oh, are they all smokers? And he went, no, none of them were. And we got talking a bit more, and between the Yorkshire Dales and London, there's a 10-year difference in mortality rates. And he put that down to environmental pollution.
Wow.
Yeah. So what else they're putting on top of it with these frequencies? And like you said, you are going through our bodies. We're just not aware of them, like radio waves. We're much like a radio. If we want to listen to a certain radio station, we tune into that frequency, you know, using that radio. Now, we natural energies, certainly through Tai Chi, you want to link into that energy, so find a nice place where it feels good and it's right, and you do the Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to like utilize that energy more, you build on these places, usually the crossing of ley lines. There's energy spirals upwards where the energy crosses. Now, interestingly, the churches knew this, and they built the churches on the crossing of ley lines, and the spires of the churches, the church steeples, are so named because energy aspires. It spiraled upwards.
Yeah.
So, hence it became a spire. So, you know, they know all this, and they're still allowing, like the latest ones, the 5G. We don't really know what it's going to do to us yet. Yeah, they're going everywhere.
I've not really looked into this that much because of what I've been doing. You know, I've been really busy. But I keep seeing things floating past. I don't really know what is going on. What's going on with it?
I don't know myself, to be honest, Sacha. The thing what struck me was there was protests in Sheffield last year. The locals and that, they were protesting about the council cutting down trees. Now the council said the trees were diseased, but they weren't. And the real reason came to light was they were cutting down the trees because they interfere with the waves of the 5G.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, common sense prevailed. They've kept the trees and they're not cutting them down now. But it was like, well, why do you need to cut a tree down for a 5G signal? If the tree's stopping that signal, what the hell is it going to do to a human body? And that's all I could think of. I've not researched it, I've not had time to really look into it, but at the end of it, you don't know what that frequency is going to do to human beings. And going back to that little girl, it's like, yeah, more and more people will, you know, sadly die from stuff like this. And they don't seem to care.
No.
You know, putting that into perspective is, remember about 30 years ago, the young girl called Leah Betts, she died.
Yeah.
They put it down to ecstasy. They made a big thing of it, and they still do to this day. And they were arresting people who supplied it a lot. Now, if a big pharma brings out a drug and it kills people, nobody gives a damn. They'll just, oh well, we'll withdraw it for further tests.
There's a law that actually means that we can't sue pharma for injuries.
Yeah. It's crazy world we're living in. You know, literally since about 1980, it's changed, and you know, it's almost like we've been socially engineered to live in stupidity. And then there's people like us who are like, no, we're not bowing to that. We're capable of thinking for ourselves, and we kind of like perceive things differently.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the old adage, the Matrix.
Yeah. Well, isn't it? That's a total analogy for life, or a metaphor, or whatever. It's really scary. But when you think
about 6-7 years ago, I met a few people like Lockie and Rusty, dubbed Key. They were all part of the Freeman movement, Guy Taylor.
Yeah.
And it opened my mind to the laws of this country and how we have been manipulated into submission to just bend over and take it.
Yeah.
And be thankful for it.
Yeah, throwing us crumbs and making us expecting us to be grateful.
Learning about this law, it was like, fascinating. And I was aware of like the Witchcraft Act and all that, and how it got repealed and stuff. But I was more interested in common law. And a good friend of mine, she used to teach law at university. She said the analogy is English common law is the motherboard of a computer, and then anything else got stuck into it. All your different cards, to your statute laws. And I thought, right, brilliant. So why can we not use common law and arrest all the Parliament for the treason they're doing now? None of them are working for the electorate. And the deeper I got into this law and how the courts were operating and stuff, and it's like, it's just one big criminal cabal.
Yeah.
And they've manipulated it on a mind, body and spirit level. And it's frightening, but it's there in black and white for people to see and realise. And when I started realising what it was about, I was like, wow, the wording and legalese, and it's all witchcraft. That's why they call words in the English language spelling. Yeah. I was like, wow. So that mind, body, spirit manipulation is incredible. And it's like, who benefits from it? Somebody does. Always follow the money trail.
Well, they just overwhelm us, don't they? We get so overwhelmed with everything that we don't want to fight back. For, like, example, every single advert, every single shop front, every single queuing system is all psychologically engineered to trick you into thinking that you're not going to be waiting as long, or to deeply get into your psyche to make you want things. Marketing, psychology. And I think that it becomes so overwhelming that our brains never can process their environment properly, because everything's straight in there, everything's at the deepest part of your mind, and it's psychologically designed to be there. And if, like me, I tune myself out that much that I'm sometimes completely unaware of my environment, like what shops I've just walked past, or anything, because I've gone into myself, because it's just too much. And then there's this thing on Facebook at the moment, like the brain needs silence, and it does. We all need no noise at times. When the kids go to bed, I sit in the quiet for a couple of hours, just to defrag from all of the events of the day, and that's one of the ways that I kind of cope with my hyperactivity as well, is sitting in silence rather than jumping about doing 25 things at once. But I think that's because we need that, because when we go out, when we go anywhere, I think it's pumped deep into our minds. So you can never properly rest, because your brain's always trying to dump all the crap that it saw that day or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, George Carlin sums it up nicely. He says something along the lines of, they want us in work, and then when we're out of work, there's no time for leisure. We just want to sleep and then go back to work. And it's getting more and more like that, because wages are going down. People are having to work 2-3 jobs just to stay alive. So they're not getting time to wind down. They're not getting time to think. And, you know, who's stepping in and helping? But the people in the white coats, the drug pushers for the big pharma, say, well, take these.
Yeah.
It's frightening how many people are on antidepressants and stuff just to live.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, he's only a young lad, and he was working in a bank for a while, and he got depressed with it. He took a bit of time out, like, and he met up with me. He coming back to work, and he went, yeah, but doctor wants to give me antidepressants, and he said, oh, don't worry about it, we all take them. He was like,
whoa.
yeah. So I said to him, are you being serious? And he went, yeah. He said, they're all whacked out on antidepressants working at the bank. I said, isn't that amazing?
And it's been so normalised that they're not even recognising that this guy is in some sort of distress. It's like, you know, screw your depression, mate. You know, just get on drugs. Yes, Sam, we're all like that, you know.
Yeah.
Switch it off. That's madness. Not, oh my God, sorry, mate. Are you that bad?
Yeah. Why?
That's wild.
And then, you know, these same kind of people, they're going, like, you smoke like this? Oh.
Yeah.
Like,
that's bad for you.
Yeah, it's getting that bad now. It's like saying, back off. Oh, you don't smoke the rest of your life. Blah, blah. I mean, I don't know, like, but what I used to, it was like, I used to wind people up on purpose. You know, sit in a cafe or in a pub and just get tobacco out and roll a cigarette. But be aware of all the people watching you. They're waiting to pounce the minute you light it, and they're going to pounce. It's just hilarious. So I used to roll them in pub and in cafes and that, and then put it in my mouth and then play with lighter, and you can see them, they're on starting blocks ready to go, and back on it, and then had it again. My ex-wife used to say, oh, you're a sod, you. But it's where we're socially engineered, you know.
It is, isn't it?
It's madness.
And people are like so ready to like tell the people off these days instead of, oh, it's none of my business or whatever, like it used to be when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Now everyone's business is everybody's business, it seems. You can get told off by complete strangers for whatever personal habits that you've got.
Yeah.
And the I'm offended brigade.
Yeah.
That's all. What I don't even know what's going on in the world at the moment with all that, where people's opinions are becoming law, you know, against the law. Like, I was laughing yesterday on my page about it being a hate crime to be wolf whistled at. You know, I said, well, you know, we take it where we could get it when we're knocking on for 50 and not wearing a Snapchat filter.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, and every woman on the page was going, oh yeah, give it a wolf whistle at me, I'll be made up or whatever. It's just
exactly.
Because we're all alright, it's because of our age, I reckon. And if you're young and beautiful, it'd be maybe annoying, or, but to some people intimidating maybe, I guess. But general consensus is that is a ridiculous, to make it like I like you is a hate crime.
Yeah. Well,
what?
It's just crazy. I mean, I remember about 7-8 years ago, there was a few of us around at mine. Now, I have friends, bikers, and then outside of the biker community, I have different friends that, you know, I move in different circles. But I had a friend who's a Palestinian, and 2 other friends who were from Montserrat round one night, and we were having a bit of banter. My ex-girlfriend, she says to me, when I went to make up some brews, she come in the kitchen with me, she says, are you not racist? I started laughing, I went, why? She said, well, you're calling each other this, you're calling that. Yeah, it's called banter. It's just embarrassing, but think about what you've just said. How is it possible that a black man's calling another black man a name and you think it's racist. And she, oh yeah, just relax. It's banter between us. It's nothing to do with anybody else. But in the conversation, I went on to, I was teaching at Preston College. I got in a bit of a hoo-ha with my boss, and it was all over the word blackboard. So I said it's against the law to say it's racist. And these two from Montserrat are like, mouths up, and I'm like, are you winding us up again? We know what you like. You like winding us up. And I went, no, I'm being honest. And a Palestinian friend, he's a solicitor, and he said, no, it's true. It's against the law to use the word blackboard. You got to use the word chalkboard. So they're both like, well, what did we write on when we were kids? This with a slate that was black, it was blackboard. I went, I know, that's how stupid our 4 PC has gone.
Yeah.
And it's no longer, crimes were crimes of intent. You say intent, oh, I'll kill you, but you don't mean it. But if the intent's there, then that's the crime. Now, people getting done, and half the time, they don't realise they've done anything wrong. Like a few years ago, I had the police on me for non-violent harassment. And I'm like, are you being serious? And they went, yeah, it's a new law that's come in. And I'm like, well, what's the non-violent harassment? Oh, you sent your ex-girlfriend a text message. And I'm like, are you serious? And they went, yeah. So I backed off, but the message was, it was something like, I've got your stuff and your daughter's stuff here. Do you want me to drop it off, or I'll drop it off at your mum's house or whatever? Just being amicable. Yeah, that was it. But she happens from, when she was a kid, and that's where it all come from, bit of insecurity. So the police was like her proverbial front door, basically. She didn't know how I was going to react when she finished for it and whatnot, and I just like, it's okay, I'm upset, but get over it. Let's just be amicable. But she wanted that protection, in case there was any.
Yeah, right.
So a bit overboard, but I understand her because of her past and how she was hurt. It was never really dealt with. Which happens to a lot of people in this country. They go through trauma, and there's stuff happening in people's lives, and it's kind of like swept under the carpet by society. And in this person's case, her dad sexually abused her, and it went to court and everything, and he got off, and then he was still living in the same town as her and all that. And all that time, her mum was in denial of it.
Right.
It would. So she never had any counselling for it. And with her mum say, "Oh, shut up," it never happened. You're imagining it. Obviously the girl's going to be screwed up.
Yeah.
So, I understand where her paranoia and fear come from. And it's a shame. And, unfortunately, there's a lot of people in this country like that.
And there's no mental health services. There's nothing of any use, really.
No. Oh, it's be 16, 17 years ago now I left social services because I was discussing the way mental health was going. And it's virtually non-existent now.
No. When I had a wobble a few years ago, and crisis team was supposed to be involved, and there was a waiting list of 18 months for the crisis team. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So if I'm not about to jump off a building, I'm okay. Is
Yeah.
that's the way that they're having to run it? And then I found out that there were 4 psychiatrists, in Liverpool. One for North, one for South, one for East, one for West. For everybody here. I was like, are you joking? And then they've got a few people underneath, but you're literally talking like a handful of people in each district to deal with everybody's mental health issues.
Yeah.
Which obviously everyone's getting worse. More and more people are becoming depressed because of all the things that we've talked about. Basically, life isn't easy, is it? It's deliberately difficult. We feel isolated. We feel cut off from everything that's real and around us. And like you said before, people they just want you to finish work and just shut down and sit in front of the TV or whatever. You know, and it's that bad that they're having to run a campaign called Fit for Life, where they encourage you to not do that, to get out, to do things like, you know, go for a walk, go play football in the park, don't eat this, don't drink that, and you know, all of that. And it's like this huge campaign because we've become surplus to our own requirements in life, pretty much. We've got a gadget, it replaces everything.
Yeah. We're led to believe that. There's too much apathy in society today. You know, I noticed like when Thatcher got into power, and I'm not going to blame Thatcher because it's just the way society went. It went from communities to, there's hardly any communities left now, where everybody's in it. Well, I'm all right, Jack, sod you.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are stepping up, people dying on the streets, freezing to death, and they don't care. And,
that's just so scary that we can be that covertly pushed into switching off.
Yeah. You know, I think it was a meme I read last night. It was something like, how did we let this happen? And it was a man who died frozen to death because he was homeless.
Yeah. And
there were a meme under it. We wouldn't let a dog do this, would we? And it's true.
That's right. Yeah. I know. And I see people saying, don't give them money because they're going to have a drink, or they're only going to do drugs. Oh, can you blame them? What else are they going to do?
Yeah.
Save up for a rainy day.
Yeah, some will, but some won't.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta ask why are they there? And, you know, it goes... I can't get my head around this, Sacha. I'm going to try and simplify it, but you have a gardener comes and he works for you once a week, and you pay him £100, and then as time goes on, he's only doing half the job, but you're still paying him £100. Now you're going to get rid of him, aren't you? You're going to sack him off and get somebody else. Now, the British people have been doing this years. We're paying out the same amount of money and we're getting less back for it now.
Yeah.
And we're told, oh, it's austerity, we're all in this together. But the ones right at the top are getting richer and richer and richer, and the ones right at the bottom are dying.
Yeah.
You know, it's just something is seriously wrong. And a lot of people are, you know, again, it's like, I'm all right, Jack, it don't affect me. But it does, and you don't realise it, or they're living in denial of it. It's, you know, that lack of apathy is there now in society, where, they do step over homeless people. I've had it myself, few years ago, I was just sat on the wall outside of the pub, and some of my friends, I was waiting for them, and there were a group of lads went past, and one tossed a coin at me, and he started laughing. He said, "There's one for homeless." And I thought, what kind of a mentality is that? And this kind of mentality is that idiot who jumped on them two homeless people sleeping in a tent. You know, he thought it was funny. It's like, what is society coming to, that where we have these kind of people living amongst us that find it funny that human misery is funny.
Yeah, I think when you look at programs on TV like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and Big Brother, and the way that the tasks and things are cruel. A lot of the ones in Big Brother, it's psychological cruelty. Who can survive the most, you know, psychological cruelty? Who can surf it better? And people like will vote for horrible things to happen rather than nice things happen, rather than putting a load of people in a house and making them have a brilliant time and being able to have a right laugh at whatever they were getting up to. It's all about who's being punished, who's losing the plot, you know, and the bullying that goes on in there. That's a reflection of current psyche of people, that misery is fun. And then I think, well, have we always been like that? Because, you know, if you go back to ancient Rome and the Colosseum, where people were being forced to fight to the death, or, you know, be torn to pieces by lions, and everybody's cheering, or when somebody's getting hung, 10,000 people turn up to watch them being hung. You know, have we always been that disturbed? I mean, we call ourselves civilized and that we've got all this progression and all these fancy things, but deep down inside there's this aspect to humanity that is quite dark and cruel.
Yeah, very, very dark and cruel. You know, what the Romans were doing, it is, as you say, it's like a modern extension of it, where people are feeding off that energy of watching other people's miseries.
Yeah.
And
that comes back down to the energy of it all as well, doesn't it? And how if you're surrounded by a certain kind of energy, you will start to take on those characteristics eventually. Yeah. Because it permeates you. So you know, it's you can become the monster that you despise if you're surrounded by the monsters. When I used to be quite political, and people would say to me, "You should be a politician," and I said, "No, I don't want to be in the energy of those people, because I will become that monster."
Yeah, and to be a politician, well, to be a high-ranking politician, you've got to have something dirty about you.
Yeah.
You know, none of them are squeaky clean. There's something psychopathically sociology about them, where you have no apathy for directions.
Yeah, that kind of compassion and empathy just doesn't exist anymore, does it? It's being battered out of us. And whereas obviously, you know, we don't all agree with religion because of how it's being used as a tool for war, but it did have some really good suggestions, like you know, don't kill, and do unto others, etc., and love thy neighbour. And now it's shock thy neighbour, spy on your neighbour, here's a number to report your neighbour. If you just imagine that they're going to do something, you know, illegal, or some sort of imagined terrorist activity, or if you just don't like your neighbour, and you can do an anonymous call and lie and have them people investigated, or whatever, you know, that's we've gone from love thy neighbour and community to don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
It's so scary.
It's quite funny, is that, because, you know, you'll hear it in communities and stuff where, you know, a crime's being committed, you know, say somebody's a habitual wife beater, and then she ends up dead, and then the first thing everybody asks is, well, why did you not do anything when she was being beaten up? and it is that, you know, and
they got, it's none of my business.
yeah, and it's kind of like it's all Larry Warren facade now. You know, people like you have pointed out the fraud, the sheer lies, and we're warning people. You know, he's a snake oil salesman, and people are like, "Oh no, it can't be." And it's like when they get stung, it's like, "Well, why did you not tell me?" Well, the thing is, we are telling you.
Yeah.
You know, Peter Robbins, I take my hat off to that man.
Yeah.
Because he admitted he got conned. He stood up and he's sorry to, you know, people that were conned. But don't be sorry, Peter, because like everybody else, you were conned. But you're man enough to stand up there and say, "My hat is off to you, mate."
Yeah. It's not easy, is it? I mean, I look back now and I cringe at the amount of effort that I put into promoting him, and defending him, and explaining his behaviour away to certain people, you know, and I just think, oh my God, I was so deluded, and I chose to be, and I saw what I wanted to see, but at the same time, he's a really good liar. He is so good at it. You know, and I met him, and I looked in his eyes, and I believed him. It wasn't like I bought the book and read the book and knew about him or anything. I didn't. I honestly didn't. And so it's just wild to think that somebody actually exists like that on the planet, and you think it would be rare, but it's really not. There's so many of them.
Yeah, you saw right there. You know, they feed off other people's miseries, and they chase that one little thing better. You know, they want that kind of like power over you in the process as well. Now, with Warren himself, I've listened to some of his tapes and stuff, and yeah, you're right. He is very convincing. He's a good liar, but he shoots himself in the foot because all you and others are doing is pointing out the lies he actually tells himself, which he does. You know, you listen to one talk and then you listen to his other, and he's contradicting himself.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the classic for me was because I'm Metallica, and I got 500,000. I'm like, oh my God, what? Like, you know, he's trying to say he didn't say it, and he did. It's a plain day, you know what I mean?
I know.
So,
I know.
But that's him. You know, that's the man, Larry Warren. He's a pathological liar.
And he surrounds himself with people who will like go, oh, I'll just block her because I don't want to see her rubbish. I don't read her shit. All this lot, and I'm doing it out of like, oh, is she? I'll block her. So they're not even doing anything at all about educating themselves as to what is going on, and they believe this rubbish, and I see this rubbish about me being said by different people, and I know the source of it, and I think, you're all researchers, right? And you all expect us to respect your research methods and your ability to discern and you know, collate and evidence and you know, present some findings when you're just running on gossip.
Yeah, that's it, plain as day. I mean, you know, since last year when I called him out about being a Hell's Angel,
yeah,
I'm still getting people messaging me saying, oh yeah, he is a Hell's Angel. So I'm what? So, you know, they get blown away when I tell them the story about what happened, and like, just recently, this week, somebody was saying to me, oh, I saw him, he was wearing his colours, and oh, he's a Hell's Angel. Oh, no, he's not. You know, I'm like, I've been down to Hell's Angels Clubhouse in Liverpool, I know some of them, they're personal friends. And they're like, no, you're making it up, aren't you? He wouldn't lie like that, would he? I'm like, oh my God. But these are the kind of people, you know, that it doesn't wind me up. You know, I just know there's people like this in the world, and I'm beyond bothering about them kind of people. But I feel sorry for you because you get bullied by them. And I'm going to say this out in the public now. Esseltine has bullied you. Warren has bullied you. Others have bullied you.
Yeah.
Any big man bullying a woman? Get a life, you bunch of traitors. You know? All she's doing is pointing out the truth. Something that you guys don't like. And then you threaten people. And I've had threats myself. I've had threats off Warren. And I've just recently had a threat off Smith. He threats to put a bullet in my arse if I go to America.
Wow.
I mean,
America's a big place. What's he going to do? Come find you where you are and just to shoot you? It's ridiculous.
Well, at first he wanted a man on man, and he wanted to beat me and whoop me arse and that. So I offered to charity cage fight him or get the money together and bring him over to England. Now he's like, oh, I've got an aneurysm, I can't fly, I can't fight no more. And it's like, oh, when are you going to shut your mouth and stop coming out with it? You know, it's like, you're supposed to be a copper or an ex-copper or something. You're not about shooting somebody because they don't agree with you. You know, these people are, you know, it's community really, isn't it?
Literally, yeah. And he attacked me because I said something about Steve LaPlume being a mercenary, which he is, and he's even said it himself, you know, in a conference talk that he gave. I said something about that, and he was one of the officers that arrested Steve or did whatever it was on the base on Bentwaters when he said he deliberately did this psycho act because he wanted to get out. He hated it, and he got out and he did a few other things. He had a very interesting life, and you know, he's a racer. He races motorbikes. He's in movies. He's a mercenary. He's, you know, all this stuff, and he's going, no, he isn't. Oh, that like little weak punk, blah blah blah. Right, he was 18, right, when they met him and knew him, and that had 18 years old, and he's now 54 or 55, and that guy that you're talking about thinks that he can know somebody's life after, you know, after 30 odd years or whatever.
Yeah.
Of one incident, knowing him, you know, it's just crazy talk. So I said no, I said he was all those things, and he's like, no, he wasn't. And then I had to go do something because I have a life, and the kids out or whatever. And then when I came back online, and there were like 5 or 6 posts of him ranting and shouting at me, demanding me answering things. I was like, whoa! And there's people going, easy now, and she's probably doing something with her kids, or, you know, like people coming in and interjecting and telling him to calm down. And he was crazy. I just looked at it, I was like, oh, I'm not talking to anybody who talks to me like that, and I blocked him. What on earth? How to win, you know, meet friends and influence people? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I know he's very poorly, and but wow, calm down.
Yeah, just, you know, what's with threatening people?
I know. I've had so many threats though, haven't I? I mean, I've had some ones, concrete and chains in a construction job. A slow bullet behind the ear, I don't know how that was. Just like sit there and try and push it through my skin with his thumb really hard. What? How does the slow bullet work?
We're about Larry the Leaping Leprechaun.
Yeah, it is lovely. It's lovely threats.
I'm gonna leap off.
Oh yeah. put my windpipe through my spine
Yeah.
faster than venue security, like he's some sort of ninja.
Yeah. I just call it leaping leprechaun. God. These people they're so hilarious, aren't they?
Well, at that time though, I thought it was a Hell's Angel,
Yeah.
So, and all this, like, my reach is long, he would say. Like, he knew everybody around the world and he could get any of them to do whatever his bidding was. And, he threatened James with, I think he said 10 bikers or something, going to go to his address, and he had his address.
Yeah.
And that frightened him to death.
Yeah.
And I slept on the sofa for ages because I was convinced something was going to happen to the animal in my bed.
Yeah.
And then over time, I found out they were all lies. And it was actually a Hell's Angel from America who asked me, "Have you ever seen him on a bike?" And I said, "Never."
Yeah.
He said, "There's never been a Hell's Angel over here."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, he's supposed to have been in that big fight in Chicago." "No way." It's just unbelievable.
We're at Lachlan in Nevada as well, in that casino, fighting with Mongols.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he's been everywhere, hasn't he?
Speaking of Laughlin, though, he was at the last MUFON in Phoenix in 2010 conference there, and a speaker had pulled out, and so they asked Larry to get up and talk, and that's where he said that he'd never said he'd seen aliens, never been in an alien underground base, all that never happened. He said, because I never said it, and it's in his book.
Yeah.
So then the next thing he's talking about, he says, anyway, so I'm not a believer, I'm a knower.
Yeah.
And he says, is anybody else, and they all went, yeah, the whole room gave it a round of applause, and he went, I stole that from my good friend Sacha Christie, who was a soldier for Rendlesham.
Yeah.
That was in 2010, so that's 9 years ago. He's saying that about me.
Yeah.
And then he said, it's just all internet, when they lived in my house. And so then they started saying I was his landlady.
Yeah.
Because he's deliberately twisting things and making them into something else on his behalf, lying for him.
Can I just ask you, Sacha, all these people like Gary Esseltine, others, how many of them have actually asked you personally?
None.
Exactly, and they're supposedly researchers.
Yeah.
They're a joke.
I know.
They're their own judge and jury. They listen to Warren and they take it in, and then they're like acting like the way they are. Especially Esseltine, being an ex-policeman. He's a fucking he's a disgrace.
Yeah, I know. I feel embarrassed for him, but I just can't stand him anymore.
Yeah.
At first I wanted to say to him, look, he'll take you to hell with him. I think he's finding out, because he started saying that he's actually a personal friend of Larry Warren. It's all just about this. It's like he's trying to distance himself from him. And that film was supposed to be about Larry Warren and his experience at Capel Green. Yeah. And it's now about, it's called Capel Green, and it's about all these other events that have happened to other people on the base over the years and in the area as well. So, I was talking to Tim Aitchison about all that, and I forgot what I was saying.
About Warren.
About all about the twisting of it all, and about how they're making out these little things, and it's all to do with me and my craziness.
Yeah.
And he's really got to sort of step up now and look at some of the evidence of all the noise that's been made. But they've exaggerated everything. And I said to him, that film, if it had been called something else and was about all of those people and their own valid experiences, and whatever went on that weekend, then nobody would have a beef with it.
Yeah.
But it was because it was started. That film concept was started when Larry Warren's credibility was going down the pan. But now they're leading people to believe that we've started attacking the film because of the film's, since the film's inception, but that's not true.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. I forgot. But those people, I believed them all, and I believe that they had all those experiences, and the area is like that. So that would be a great, concept for a documentary. But to say that it was all about this man's life, and slowly but surely, it's become less about him and more about everybody else. So there's something's happened between them. Something's gone on for that to change, because that Tim, he kind of thought that Larry was a very small part of it all. Yeah. I was like, well, what do you mean? It was like supposed to be all about him.
Yeah.
So
it's to me, Esseltine. He's invested a lot of money into it. He's put his reputation online. He's priding himself in being an ex-policeman and that. And then all of a sudden he's presented with a lot of evidence. And he's acted like an idiot, to be honest. Instead of like standing up to like Peter Robbins did, and go, hang on, I've made a mistake here. Yeah. None of us are denying Rendlesham happened. Something happened, but certainly not what Warren's view is. So it's like the evidence is overwhelming that Warren is lying. He's even an idiot.
I've proven that he's lied. I've proven that he's said two different things in lots of different areas, and there's so many more of those moments that I'm actually going to be presenting. But they're saying it's my opinion. Yeah,
no, I did think because you're presenting it, and then like me, I presented a bit of evidence. You go, bang, they're on you, and bullying, and they're like, oh, why? It's like, I'm not going to go into why I've called him a liar, but it's over something very simple and something which struck me, and it's only from the trailer, and I was just like, what? And I started asking questions. So because I've called him a liar on it, which I'm not going to go into on here, but I'm thinking of making a short film about it and presenting my evidence on it.
Yeah.
Whatever he saw that night or whatever happened, I don't know. I weren't there, and if he got scared, whatever it was. But what he said just didn't ring right with me, and I called him out on it. So he wants to plug me arse with a bullet. But Gary Esseltine's backing these people. It's like watching The Godfather. I'm going to cap you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and Esseltine's like this. I think he's slowly waking up to this fact that like where Warren's concerned, Warren's a cokehead. He likes snorting cocaine up his head. He likes his drink, going down Lark Lane in Liverpool, and getting off his face. Now, somebody like Esseltine would not associate themselves with Warren, like that in life. They just don't do it. I mean, I personally know a couple of people, friends from years ago, that became problems with cocaine, and you just distance himself from them. You don't want to be associated with the crap they're getting involved with and what they're up to and whatnot. And then, thankfully, both my friends, they're off it now. They're back to who they were. And they regret doing it. Now, Warren, as far as last message I had about him, he's still buying cocaine down Lark Lane in Liverpool.
Oh, I thought he'd sorted himself out.
Nah, he's still.
Well, it's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a shame. It's something people will say. Well, it's self-induced. It's like self-harming type of thing, and it's not. Addiction is a very weird thing. There's physical addiction, there's mental addiction, there's spiritual addiction. But the problem is not the drug itself. The problem is, why do you want to take it?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they want to mess out when they know it's going to do it?
Well, I think it comes down to numbing feelings, doesn't it? Anything like that. I mean, on an energetic level, you're kind of swallowing your emotions, you're taking them back into yourself.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you've been caught out in a literal web of lies, you'd have a good few uncontrollable feelings about that. Like if you're seeing your life collapsing in front of you because your lies have been revealed.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know that. I don't know what he's doing. I've seen pictures recently. He seems to have put on weight and stuff. So I thought, there comes a time when you hit the deck that hard, you just can't do anything other than change the way you are.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's going to be interesting to see the film, see what his set in concrete story is, because it is a story.
Yeah.
And some of the things that I realised what he does through listening to him, and you think that he's talking, like just if he's on a conference talk, and you think that he's just off the cuff, everything he's saying, he's done it that often, but it's not. I've heard him, he repeats the same things over and over. It just sounds as if he's just saying it off the top of his head.
Yeah.
So he's an actor, and he's got a script. I've noticed these scripts, but he keeps changing the players in the play, and different elements. He'll say, so the armoured vehicle was here, and we split up into groups of 4 men, and then the next one is we split up into groups of 5 men. Well, what is it, 4 or 5? Yeah. It's just things like that. And there's another line, he says that he goes to the PX to get this camera because he's got one that he took with him from when he was a kid, and it just was garbage. I've heard him say that, just was garbage, about that camera, and the way that he says it 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
It's, and but because unless you're like a big weirdo, you don't literally follow a person and watch and listen to every single thing they do. Like, maybe not big weirdo. If people talk about different things all the time, then yeah, fair enough. But to go and listen to the same person telling the same thing over and over, I don't think many people do that. No. And he relies on that fact because that's how he can get away with these little details, because nobody knows his story word for word. But I'd heard it that many times from him, and the arguments that I've been involved with when he dragged me into them, when he got, created a situation and then blaming it on somebody else and getting somebody else to fight his battles for him. That was me at one point. And so I got to know what he was saying. So when he was here and he's going, I took Adrian's account, we agreed that I would get it out there because the story needed to be told. And then in the same conversation said that he thought it needed to be told, and that and then they agreed that he would tell it, and then he said it wasn't where he said it was, which is in that field. It was at the other side. It got mixed up. Now I've been doing a bit of research and I've been looking at maps, and Capel Green isn't that field where he said the UFO landed. It's over the other side.
Yeah.
So now I know what he was saying, and now he's denying that he ever said it, and now he's denying. I've seen a bit of a clip of him, I think 2015, interviewed by Gary Esseltine, and then Gary says to him, did you ever absorb Adrian's story? Did you say any of that? Nope. I thought, there's instances of it. Georgina Bruni, she outed him for it. Linda Moulton Howe. And these are all people that have done this before me. And he had said to Linda Moulton Howe that if all this underground base stuff turns out to be not true, it's Adrian's fault because Adrian lied to him. So he's done all this and then set Adrian up for the fallout, and then accused Adrian of putting it on him.
Yeah.
I've got all of the instances, and I'm going to put them all together. Everything he says is different, and you know, and all the names of people in different parts keep changing.
Yeah.
So
apart from
it's
himself,
not me.
Yeah. Apart from himself, his worst enemy is the internet, because people do report things, and it's in his own words.
I know.
That's what, you know, people like Esseltine don't get. You know, it's like, just watch a few of his talks or whatever. You can see the blatant contradictions, you know, like you've just pointed out. And then to me, he's got that story or somebody else. It's just like, yeah, why don't you admit it, Larry? The whole story has been got off other people, and you're trying to put it together and sell it, you know, like the snake oil salesman that you are.
The story that he tells is from about 5 different people, 5 different events on 3 different nights.
Yeah.
And he's put it all in one lump and put it all in a field that he's called Capel Green, which is actually Capel St Andrews, and Capel Green's at the other side of the road. And you know, I can now, with the documents I've been sent from Barry Greenwood, who runs the Citizens Against UFO Secrecy cause, I can actually I figured out a few bits of where he's got what from and who he stole what bit from. You know, some people that aren't normally mentioned much in the narrative, but I'm going to do all of that and put it all out there. And it's not like I'm taking things out of context, I'm painting a picture, because what I'm doing is creating a catalogue of all the evidences so people can double and treble check, and they'll probably find them I can be bothered pointing out, you know, because it's just everything is a lie. It's immense, it's an immense job, and you know, I don't think people realise how messy it is, and how convoluted and devious the whole thing has been, and the actions afterwards, you know, from me repeating stuff that other people have said, you know, on my blog. It tells me the words that people have searched and Googled to find me, how they find their way to me. And one of them was Georgina Bruni and plagiarism. So somebody's thinking that I'm plagiarising her work, when in actual fact I've referenced it a little bit, but I'm going to reference a hell of a lot more, because she had him like banged to rights, completely found out between Dot and Brenda, himself, Barry Greenwood and Larry Fawcett. They all found him out as well. Chuck DeCaro, he keeps throwing his name around, but Chuck DeCaro said that there was no point in sending Larry for a polygraph to fill class because he'd failed the voice stress test analysis, so there was no point. They already knew he was lying, so what was the point in doing the polygraph? You know, and he says that all these voice stress analysis things, he's passed them all. He hasn't.
I know. He's laughed. That polygraph test that he took, I couldn't stop laughing at who it was with, that very test. It's just like,
literally got a license from Nigeria.
It's almost like they created it for that purpose. You know, you couldn't make it up. It's like, why not go to a reputable one, you know, a decent one, a well-known one, rather than the Mickey Mouse Backstreet one. They
probably wouldn't have done it. You know, Kaz Clark, she had to say that it was a family matter and that she didn't want to discuss it until she was strapped up in the room. You know, and she had to take 3, and she passed all 3, and went to Gary Esseltine, and he said he looked at a photograph. He's not an expert at polygraphs. but he said it wasn't good enough, and he would go to that other one at Veritas. But she said that even she'd found out that there was a fraud warning on it. And Heseltine said that she's done 2,000 polygraphs, but her business is worth £50.
Yeah.
So what is she doing? Charging 50p a go?
Yeah.
You know, so it's just another, and if he can convince people to go to her, then it kind of validates the one that he's done with Warren even more. So he knows that it's all very tenuous.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in British law, the polygraph isn't admissible, and
because psychopaths pass them.
yeah, I mean, some of the stuff I've said about Heseltine, about Capel Green, about Warren, any of these people are welcome to take me to court, you know, for slander, libel, whatever, because you've got to put your claim of facts into court, and they haven't got any.
Yeah. No.
They haven't got any.
And I have.
It's hearsay. Exactly, Sacha. You know, it's. I think it was Warren said 2018 will be the big turning point. You know, and it's like, well, I'm still waiting. It's 2019, and yeah, you might be right, Larry, but I don't think it's going to turn the way you want it, mate.
We keep saying that about taking me to court, and I keep saying, go on then.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, I want to get in front of a judge. I want to put this evidence in front of a judge. And they're saying, oh, there's been no prosecution, so there's no proof. You know, and like Ronnie Dugdale said, there's paedophiles running around, they're not convicted.
Yeah.
There's still paedophiles.
Yeah.
You know, he's still a wrong un. And, you know, it's down to the Crown Prosecution Service and whether they think they can get conviction. In his instance, we needed a victim. And somebody who's discovered that they've bought something that's, you know, not genuine.
Yeah.
There's just no way to prosecute unless you get them to investigate, and then they discover through his bank account or whatever that he has been sent stuff online through these auctions. So he needs. There's just so many elements that go into an investigation, and that you actually need to have in front of you before you can actually action an investigation.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's near on impossible. He's found himself a little niche there that seems to be untouchable.
Yeah, you know, so far. But if you're gonna, if you're gonna live like that, sooner or later he'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
You know, he always does.
Yeah.
And you know, things are catching up with him. You know, people are waking up and realising he's a pathological liar. You know, and just recently, well, I did tell you about a friend of mine. You know, I was talking to her on the phone, and she said, "I can't believe how much Warren has persecuted you." You know, she said he's an evil man, and it's like, well, he is. You know, he must be kind of sick in head to put somebody through that kind of thing, or he's not aware of his own actions, which is, you know.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what he's doing. People have said that to me before, and I said no, because if it was a solid delusion and he really believed it, all of the elements stay the same.
Yeah. They aren't, because you forget.
But yeah, he did try to destroy my life. Tried to have my kids taken off me. Tried to have me disability benefits stopped, all that, saying that I was working. You know, and I had to go and explain what I do on the internet to somebody in the job centre.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sat at home all the time. I can't do anything. I'm trying to, hopefully, maybe engineer some sort of career in radio or whatever. You know, I'm no good to an employer because of the things that I've got wrong with me. But I could maybe make something out of what I do.
Yeah.
And that's never going to happen if they keep doing this. You know, she said, well, no, because it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're not being paid for it.
Yeah.
You know, and if you are, then you have to tell us, and you're allowed to earn up to £100 a week when you're on ESA, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't.
I didn't know how much.
I didn't know that.
But I knew you were
I
allowed to
didn't.
work 16 hours a week.
I didn't think you could work, or so that was news to me, you know. So I was like, oh, well. And she said, look, he did it 4 times. 4 times, no action, no interview. And when they phoned social services and told them that I was a drug addict and abusing my children and they lived in filth, I just got a letter saying that had happened and that they were going to take no action because they knew who I was. Because when we went bankrupt and had to move house and I just had a baby and my head were going and we had Larry living with us, I went and I asked them for some help. So they've been involved with us and signed us off. You know, it's just like we just needed a bit of support going through all that because, you know, it's really complicated applying for benefits, and if you get anything wrong it delays it and all the rest of it. So I thought, I've got ADHD and these forms just like they might as well be written in a foreign language, you know. So that's why I asked for some help, and that's why they were like, no, is that true? And they even knew about him anyway and what he'd been doing, and I told them about why he'd been kicked out of our house and stuff. So they just didn't believe him anyway. But if I wasn't known to them, then God knows what would have happened in that situation. So they literally tried to destroy my life.
Yeah.
Ruin, you know, totally ruin it. Disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I say he's just a vile creature.
Yeah. It probably wasn't him doing it. He probably got somebody else to make all the phone calls, or, you know, because he never does anything himself, does he? Nothing ever leads back to him. He always puts somebody in between him and whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Like his memorabilia sales, getting somebody else to sell them on their eBay account, while pretending that it's because I'm trying to ruin his established business he doesn't even have. But I think he's been caught out with that, and I think he's being sued by somebody.
Good. I'm happy
But that's
about
what
that.
I mean. It's going to be a private. That's going to be a private prosecution because it's not a police matter. So, you know, when Gary's going, there's been no conviction, then there's no crime. Huh?
Yeah.
No, it don't work like that.
Exactly.
And he should know better than anybody what the Crown Prosecution Service would need.
Exactly.
But
he himself, being a copper or an ex-copper, knows that there's people who are guilty walking around. It's just a matter of time for him to catch them, and that's the way the police work.
it's also funding as well, you know, funding a tenuous investigation into some guy who might be selling memorabilia fraud, and you have to have it analysed and out if he is, and all the rest of it.
Well,
It's
because
a mess.
Because nobody's been physically hurt, really, it's not a criminal investigation. You know, and it goes back to nothing. But because, like, the way Warren is, the way Smith is, you know, the bullying tactics, they're actually starting to cause a tort. And under English law, a tort is a serious thing. But it's not something used by barristers and solicitors because there's no money in it for them. But for somebody like me who knows a little bit about it, it's like, well, if you want to take me to court, take me to court. I'll forward my fee schedule, which is £10,000 a year. And because you're causing me a tort, I'll claim £1.5 million in liens. So if you want to go to court, fine. And, you know, breaking it all down is as simple as that. But the law is the law.
Yeah.
And, you know, these people don't realise it. Well, a lot of people don't realise it. You know, a lot of people, oh, I've got the bailiffs at my door, what do I do? It's like, don't deal with them. Unless they've got a court order, they can't take nothing. You know, it's the Bill of Rights, 1668. The bailiffs, or anybody appointed, cannot take goods unless you've had a conviction. So, you know, people who are like suffering with the council tax, you know, they're being threatened by bailiffs and that. All it is bullying by a criminal organisation which pretends to be legitimate.
Yeah.
You know, it's unlawful, and there's a difference between unlawful and illegal. So that's how Warren's been getting away with it so far. The police don't really want to get involved because it will matter. but there are laws in place to protect you, from this.
But if I want to do anything about what has happened to me, I have to do it privately as a private prosecution.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah. Exactly.
So these people could just go running around, breaking the law, shouting their mouth off, threatening lives, being the worst kind of person ever, and it's just, well, whatever, turn a blind eye.
Well, a lot of it goes back to Saxon times. They used to have what was called Holmgang, and if there was a dispute between two people, you'd call Holmgang. They'd get in a square, much like a boxer's ring, and they'd fight to the death. And it, became, well, it's God's will. If you're telling the truth, God will let you live, so you fight to the death. So the modern day arena is the courts. Back then you were trial by fighting. Now it's your trial in court. So it's essentially that's what you're doing. So although there's a third party, which is the police and CPS, they decide whether it's a criminal or a civil matter. It's still down to you to go into that arena and fight, in a trial, be it civil or criminal. Civil courts are well interesting because the laws of war.
Yeah. Well, it's some of the laws around it, and there are laws there that they could have used for what was going on, but then it came down to funding, I reckon.
Yeah. Part of it as well. The police won't act unless the CPS tells them to. Now the CPS, again, it's the funding. If the CPS think they'll lose the case, they won't take it on board.
Yeah. Or if it's not a strong enough case. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a strong enough evidence, but at the end of the day, you need the actual hard evidence.
Yeah.
And that, it's just not going to be possible in this way unless I can prove fraud. And speak to a police officer the other week. He was a chief inspector and counter-terrorism officer, and he said it's fraud. You need to leave out all the stuff about the personal attacks and make it about fraud and the actions.
Yeah. And
then if you get their interest and you make a good case, show a pattern of behaviour, they could prosecute for fraud and then tack on all of the attacks and all the rest of it at the end. So there could be a way, but it comes down to funding. So it's just, and the fact that he's an American citizen living in this country, I bet it's just a mess to get involved in anything like that. So he can just do whatever he wants, and he does.
Yeah, to a certain extent. Because as you know, last year he got a visit over his lies.
Yeah.
And he was lucky to get off that lightly as well.
I know. If you're going to flash your patches on YouTube and they're not legitimate, then you're asking for trouble.
Yeah. That was after me and David Young went to Liverpool. Because he didn't believe we'd been there, did he?
No. And he said the only reason that he wasn't at that party because he was out of town.
So,
oh my God, we've come to the end of the show,
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We didn't even talk about any of the... You're going to have to come back on again.
Yeah, definitely. No worries.
Because there's all that energy in Wing Chun and Chi and all that kind of and paranormal stuff that we're talking about, but we didn't.
Oh, we could use it.
It's been a great chat anyway.
Yeah, we'll use this show to promote it in future.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice one.
You're speaking at a Big Folk conference in March, aren't you? What date can you remember?
I can't offhand.
I think it might be 9th. I'm not sure about that though, people check, but if you want to see Frank in action. It'll be at Lytham St Anne's YMCA at the Phoenix Probe International. No, it's not the International Phoenix Probe, and I'll be there as well. So come and have a chat with me if anybody feels like it. So, well, that's another show for this. They all just go so quickly. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I can talk for days. So, well, I'll see you all next week there. Another guest or another drama. Who knows? So, thanks for listening to us on Paranormal Mysteries on Access Northwest. Bye-bye.